Now we're using the term a T woman is anybody that has an incongruence between their gender and their sex. So you don't even have to transition or do any changes at all to be part of the T community. So
I know sex and gender are two different things. Yeah, I know.
well, I would say sex and gender are not, but everybody else would disagree with that. I do believe it is exactly the same. But we know that definitions change and life moves on. We get it. My thing is really about like the self ideas.
Well, I believe it's still a man. I don't think a male should identify as a woman.
Percy, what's up?
Like
What
on
about
TV
people?
shows.
What about people that say like, what if I just came out and said I identify as a male, and then started using like the male vicinities?
Ooh, see, then maybe that would be a problem because maybe you're pushing that on other people. I think that maybe we could be more progressional and like have areas for people that do that or want to do that. But I don't think
I would
if you're
agree.
not,
But,
huh?
but I would agree. But people say also that that's discriminatory as well.
It might be, but I mean, if you're a felon, you can't just do things that you want as well. So it's kind of like the world's kind of like that. But I mean, nobody's saying you can't feel how you feel. But if you're gonna go into the stalls with, let's say, my son, and it's not, I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of pushing it. But
Okay.
people
Go
can
ahead,
believe
Kat.
what they want.
Kat, you want to jump in?
Sure. What's up?
No, you requested, so I want to hear what you guys say. I know. What's on your background? Let me big.
Uh, you can't really see it. Just basically says, "Oh, you're arachnophobic. It must mean you want to f spiders."
A phobia is something you need to you need to be diagnosed with a phobia. It's not something that you can't just go around and call people phobic. The word is watered down. It has no meaning anymore. It has absolutely no meaning.
I know. I'm definitely arachnophobic. So when people call me phobic for this, that, the other thing, I can say, well, I'm not scared of that. I don't have an irrational fear of that. So I don't know why you're claiming that it's some sort of phobia. Because all of my opinions and thoughts and feelings on everything that I look into, actually take the time, effort, and energy to look into, is all based on like factual information, like things that, or my life experience, personally. So I don't know. The world's crazy. They love to call you names, call you this, call you that. Bigot is one of my favorite ones because people call me that all the time, and I'm like, well, I don't have some irrational like thoughts or opinions that aren't based out of something. So it's a crazy world.
And you know what's funny? There's people in the comments like Goose, I said this already, who I genuinely like and I like to watch. And we may not agree on everything, but I do genuinely, somebody has feedback. Can y'all mute really quick? And there's a lot of people like Goose that are in the community that do have some sort of line in the sands. I think that everybody in every community should have a minimum line. Let me just mute Mr. A. I think he has the feedback. Yes, he does. Regardless if you're part of the community, right? Regardless if you're part of the LGBTQ, if you're part of the T community, you guys still have to have some sort of boundary. There has to be a boundary that's comprehensive, that everybody could say, you know what, this is just not right. It's not right. And if you're going to speak up about it, if I speak about protection and female, why is that automatically something bad? We fought for protections for decades. So the point is that we should still keep our protection. And LJ told me to coin this term, and I'm going to use it because we had this conversation. I don't want to call it rights anymore. We're going to call it protections. We are entitled to protections. We are entitled to have specific laws and regulations and spaces that are safe for us as females. And when I say things like that, all I hear is I'm a bigot. How does that make me I'm confused. The T community has been around, ready? We're going to do the same thing that everybody else has. They've been around forever. And they've been integrated in our restrooms and in our facilities for a really long time. Now, the problem that I have is if you wake up and say, hey, you know what? I've been T all my life, and you do nothing to integrate into society, you don't belong in our space. That's it. That's it. There's people like Goose. Goose lives his life as a man. Goose looks like a man. Goose does everything that men do in society. Goose put the work in to look and live his life as a man. It's really simple. So I don't understand why if I say something that a man who's 6 foot tall with a beard wants to identify as a T woman, do it. But you cannot have access to our space. You can't. That's it. What's up, Manimal? Welcome to the AV show.
Hey, AV show. Good to see you, AV.
Hey, I appreciate that. What's up?
Yeah, man.
Sorry if I'm
Yeah,
not
I mean,
talking
Someone was on here. I think it was Remy. I think he might have dropped already, but he said that sex isn't gender. I was trying to ask him maybe like what he means by that statement. Like a lot of times people will say sex isn't gender, but then if you ask them what's the difference between human beings of either sex, or like what words we have for humans of either sex, they're going to acknowledge that it's man, woman, boy, and girl, which is acknowledging that man, woman, boy, and girl refer to sexes, and if they're going to say sex isn't gender, they're saying man and women aren't genders. So I just wonder what people mean when they say that men and women aren't genders.
Oh, Casey, if you want to come up, come join. Goose, I would love for you to come up on my panel one day. I know you don't feel safe up here, but I would love you to come up on my panel one day just to have a chit chat. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe one day.
Wait. If he doesn't feel safe, tell him I'm right here. I'll keep him safe. Everything's gonna be okay.
What confuses me is he says that he doesn't debate, but I swear I've come across his lives where he was talking about T women or T men, T people in sports, and talking about what's the name, the swimmer, Leah Thomas. Yeah, and he was talking about how Leo, as a man, was dominating that field in swimming even before he transitioned to be a woman. So, just curious.
Mr. A, I don't want to call you a-hole, but Mr. A, you want to jump in?
I need you to call my name. Just say it, because if it was offensive, they would have never gave it to me.
Okay, Mr. Asshole.
Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
So, all right, listen. If a man wants to dress up as a woman, that's perfectly fine. You can do whatever the hell you want. Now, if a woman wants to dress as a man, they have that right too. But I'm not gonna go by what you want me to call you, because if you're a woman, I'm gonna call you either Miss, Ma'am, or something that is correct. If you get offended because I call you what you are, then that's too bad for you, because I don't care. You get what I'm saying? I want to identify as rich and handsome. So anytime that you talk to me, I want to be identified as rich and handsome. And people are gonna say, no, well, you're not rich and handsome. Well, I am.
Hang on, Mr. A. If there's any ops in there, if there's any people that don't agree, just jump up here and we'll chit chat. I'll drop the panel.
I'm going to say this and I'm going to drop down because I don't want to take time on your panel ops.
No, you're good, LJ. You can say.
If you can fight for your right to have protections as a trans individual, women who are distinctly different, biological women, can fight for their right to have protections. So you think you're right?
LJ, you're cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
You're like every other word is getting cut.
Can you mute? It's got a whole amount of feedback.
Yeah, hold on. Let me mute everybody.
Yeah, well, no, it's just him. Everybody else is good. So if you can fight for your right to have protections as a trans individual, biological women as a distinct, different entity can fight for their right to have protections. So when your protections that you are fighting for, trans community, infringes upon their protections as a biological woman, they have the right to defend themselves at that point in time. So don't be mad. They're not bigots for wanting to be protected. They are just their own individuals that's distinctly different from your individuals. And so don't get mad at them when they say, we don't want you in our spaces. Because at the end of the day, it's their space. The space was created for them. And we, as biological males, need to start protecting our women. And I'm sick and tired of hearing individuals say, well, when women start standing up, then things will change. No, you are a man. You are meant to protect. That is one of the things that you are designed to do. So protect women. Stop being cowards. Stop cowering to this movement. Stop cowering to the individuals that speak out loud that are toxic in that movement, and stand up. They can't beat you. All they can do is scream help.
You know what it is too? Women are empathetic. We're empathetic people. So we have no problem with T women in our spaces. They've been coming in our spaces and we didn't even realize that they were in there because they integrate and they blend into society. That's not a problem for us. It's the people that don't integrate into society, the people that are self-ID that say, hey, Hudson, I debated Dora multiple times. I'm completely blocked off of their panel. They will not. In fact, I was up the other day. I went in there and they were like, oh my God, Christie's here. Block her right away. So they block me as soon as I come in there because I'm the only one that doesn't go up there and go, hey, well, you're not a woman because of X, Y, and Z. You know, you have a pishka deal. you know, I don't use that as my argument. There's so many other factors why Adora, first of all, spreads the absolute most horrendous rhetoric I've ever heard in my life, and it's very dangerous to the T community. And in my opinion, she should be condemned and shut off this app. However, let's move forward. What I was saying was women have been allowing T women in our spaces for a long time. It's not a problem. It's the people that don't do anything to integrate into society that women actually feel uncomfortable with them in our space. That's the problem. Mel is equally as vile. Equally as vile. So if somebody that took time and worked on themselves and they integrate into society quietly and nobody knows, they're welcome into the restroom. They're welcome. There's other things that I don't believe they should be allowed in, like sports, because I don't believe it's fair. But as far as integrating goes, if you take the time and put the work in, come into the bathroom.
Well,
If you're 6 foot tall with a full grown beard and wearing your nails done and your makeup is put on your face, you're not entitled to walk into my restroom. And the other thing is, if I feel uncomfortable while you're in there and I ask you to leave, I would hope that you would be respectful enough to leave the restroom. And what they're telling me is that if I feel uncomfortable in my restroom, I should leave. That's not how it works, my friend.
Well, the scary thing is, have you seen some of those TikToks where the trans women are like, make me leave then, try to make me leave? It's just very weird and aggressive because they're like, I'm a woman, I'm going to go.
Yeah, I just tell them I'll get my husband to get them out of the bathroom. If I'm at the point where listen, I live in New York City. Nothing scares me. Nothing scares me. I've seen every possible scenario on earth that I've seen people get pushed in front of trains. I've seen everything you could think of. Nothing scares me. I walk in the streets by myself at 2 o'clock in the morning. Nothing scares me here. But if I do have a situation where I'm in a closed space with a male that I don't feel comfortable in, and it's my space, I should be entitled to tell them to please leave the vicinity until I'm finished. And the answer should be no problem.
Well, the ironic thing is that people would like to say that your argument is about the passability police. Like, some people don't try to pass at all. They don't try to pass at all. They have a full beard. They look like me, and they say my pronouns are she, her.
Yeah, and the thing is that I'll respect your pronouns. If you look like a legitimate male, I'll call you he. If you look like a male and you're like a full blown male and you're telling me to call you she, I cannot physically do that. I'm sorry.
But here's the ironic thing. When you call someone trans, they're usually transitioning into something. If you're not trying to pass at all and you look exactly like me and you say, I'm a woman, well, how do you call yourself trans? You haven't tried to transition at all. Makes no sense.
And the other problem that I was having too is people have been telling me, specifically me, that I should feel empathetic for a male that's unable to conceive a child, to carry a child. I cannot express empathy for a biological male that's unable to carry a child before I would feel empathy for a biological female that is unable to carry a child. I'm not physically built to do that. My empathy will always go to women. Hang on, AV, one sec. My empathy will always go to women that are unable to carry children before anything else, period.
And then they're the ones that look like they want to look as sexually confusing as possible. So they have a beard, feminine features, and whatever else, and try to be like right in the middle there. So you can't win no matter what you do.
I just hate how, like, Parker, he uses this argument all the time. He always brings up, he's like, well, trans women are, what is it? Yeah, trans women can't have kids. Well, what if I date a woman that's infertile? Is that the same thing? No, because guess what? 100% of trans women can't have kids. Only a few percentage of actual women can't have kids. So it's a false equivalence. You're comparing apples to oranges here. And I hate that argument so much.
Well, they use the struggles of women's infertility to make a slot to compare. They could fit the slot. So, guess what? You're infertile and I can't have kids, so we're the same. We cannot recategorize things because people have similarities. You cannot do that.
Equivalence.
Yeah, but you can't do that at all. I don't feel empathetic for a biological male that's unable to conceive a child. And I'm not talking about shooting blanks. I'm talking about physically carrying a child. I don't have empathy for you.
Yeah, it's funny because no man can get pregnant. It's like when they say, well, what about the women who can't get pregnant? Are they somehow not women? It's like, bro, men can't get pregnant. That means like all men are women now, according to their logic. It doesn't make sense.
Like, why are we saying this? Like, why does that sentence have to even be said? I want to like remove it from my lives. I don't ever want to say men can't get pregnant again. I don't ever want to say it again, ever. It's not possible. And the other one that I'm hearing that I think this is the most vile one of all is that wait next year when they start putting uteruses in males. And I'm saying to myself, like, yo,
Never gonna
there's
happen.
females that are waiting and in need of uteruses. And I think they performed 20 successful female uterine transplants.
Do you want to know the hilarious thing?
A male body is never going to accept it.
You want to know the funny thing? When they start putting uteruses in males, guess what's going to happen? The body's going to reject it anyways.
Well, that's what happened. That happened, I think, in India, I'm pretty sure, and the male unalived.
Yeah, 100%. It's like I heard someone say the other day said, "Oh, you know, men are gonna be able to ovulate soon." It's like, look, do they
I
even know what
can't even,
ovulation is?
it's so irritating. I
Yeah.
can't
Well, no.
even, oh, I
Well,
can't.
the
And guess
flaw is
what?
it
Guess
because
what?
they don't know where the eggs are coming from. Like
And guess
we're
what?
not gonna
Here's a
like
good analogy for you.
implant
Here's a good
eggs inside of a
analogy.
man and then have him ovulate the eggs. No,
Okay?
a girl is born with all of the eggs. Like
Yeah, here's a good
they develop
analogy.
in utero. It's kind of amazing, really.
Here's a good analogy. You could have a 1997 van, put amazing wheels on it, rims, but guess what? It's still a 1997 van, baby. Doesn't matter what you put in it, what you put on it, what the rims looks like. It still ain't gonna change what it is, baby.
Well, it's just,
And that's
when you
facts.
hear the argument about the uterus is, I'm saying to myself, like, I actually had a woman come on my panel who had a uterine transplant, who had cancer, and they put a uterus in her, so she could carry her child. She wanted to carry her child. She didn't want to use a surrogate, so they did it for her. She said it was the most traumatic experience of her life, and as soon as she was done having children, she had to remove the uterus. She was in full rejection mode, and her body was built. Her body was built for it.
Yeah. No, what I've heard is this interesting. There's this interesting thing about like women who have had hysterectomies. They actually affects their. It actually has an effect on their memory and their brain and stuff. So it's like there's a connection between a woman's uterus and the way her brain functions. Right. It's like people got to understand. Like science, we don't understand everything about female anatomy. We barely even understand anything about female anatomy. Right. Most of our medical knowledge is based around the male anatomy. Right. So it's like science is way kind of behind the curve about understanding women's bodies and all this stuff. And
Let me ask you this, man.
it's kind of amazing.
Manimal,
Like, when you
manimal,
learn more about women's bodies.
manimal. Let me ask you this. What if I have a cat and I put a dog tail on it? Is the cat now a dog?
Yes.
No, it's
No, of
still a
course not.
cat with a dog tail. So if you put a uterus in a male, guess what? It's still a male. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry
well-
about it.
Well,
Facts
and
don't care about your feelings.
it's just super duper like pseudoscientific to even imagine that a uterus could be operative inside of a male human being, right? It's like they don't understand like, a uterus isn't just like, you know, a balloon that you put inside of a body and then it just works, right? Like,
that's what
no,
they're-
it's
that's
connected
what
to
a
the
lot of people-
entire rest of the body.
That's what they're saying. The women that need uterine transplants have to have their kids and get them removed. It's not a lifelong thing like you're putting a pair of lungs in. My friend, one of my best friend's aunts actually had a double lung transplant. She is in the hospital every other week with rejection. She almost unalived from COVID. She almost unalives from colds. It is the most ridiculous. It's not like you're just going to put this lovely, amazing uterus into a body that doesn't have the equipment to even host it. It's not even able to connect properly. We have problems connecting people's fingers that get cut off back to their original finger with nerves and ending and blood supply. How are you sitting here going to tell me you're going to put a female organ into a body that was not even designed for it when we struggle putting the female organ into the body that was designed for it? Juice, you're giving me the nod. Jump in.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, too. Let's not forget, you know what? I'm 41, turning 42.
Me too, me too.
Same.
Welcome.
And I have had my mammogram done and everything, and come to find out I have 13 fibroids. They don't want these like everybody dies to be a woman, and it's itching me because you don't want these medical problems that we can suffer from. You really don't. Like menstruation, let's just talk about that aspect of it. Forget the fibroids. I can go through sheets. I can go through towels. My flow is that heavy. I can ruin clothes.
Well, Juice,
You
here's
see
the
what I'm
funny
saying?
part. Juice, here's the funny part. They say they can go through emotional menstruation.
It's a side effect. It's a side effect of estrogen. That's
Okay, you know what? Now that part right there, that is what I call CRS, can't remember shit syndrome. Okay, which I mean, men can have their version of PMS. Okay, I've seen it happen. Don't ask me how. You see what I'm saying? They can go through that, but as I'm saying, you don't want the actual flow. Exactly. You don't want to feel what it's like when your boobs are so tender right before it comes, ladies. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? You see what I'm saying? Like, our bodies to even go through that step. Y'all don't want these problems. Like, okay, the BBL community, the BBL chasers, I'm natural born. Like, y'all don't want them problems, because the minute a man turns around, looks at you and says something degrading, it's, oh, how dare you? Well, you chase after that look, sweetie. Did you not think there was repercussions by that big butt nips? Because there is.
When you get your booty done. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? There's repercussions behind it all. So, and here's the other thing that baffles me. You want to emulate a woman. Fine. That's okay. But you can't disrespect us at the same time. You cannot do that. That's the biggest oxymoron I'm seeing right now, and it's driving me up
TS
a
in the
wall.
comments. If you don't agree, sorry, Juice, hang on. TS is in the comments. They don't agree. I sent you a request to join the panel. If you'd like to join, please come.
Well, and here's my thing too. It's like they want to emulate women. They want to be called women, but they don't even know. They don't even do their own dishes, right? They don't even like they want to see like, oh, I'm going to conform to the gender roles of women, but they're sloppy as fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? They don't even.
Yeah, look at that. She's scared. She said, drop the panel and I'll go up. Coward.
Who said that?
Guys, and there's
Oh, wait, I'm dropping the panel. I'm dropping the panel.
She's a coward.
Oh, I just got up here.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. What's up?
Perfect.
What's your agree with? Go ahead.
I don't know, you invited me. There's something you wanted to talk about?
You come up. So here we are.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so I guess I'll do a Q&A with you, and then we'll go and we'll move forward. So what's up? You don't think that females should be entitled to protections
Protection from who?
from society? You don't think that we should be designated for our spaces? You don't think women should have a place for us in DV shelters? What about women's history, women's sports, women's scholarship, women's colleges? Those are all dedicated specifically to females.
The reason I asked for who is because earlier you said that you're not transphobic and you quoted yourself saying, you don't fear anyone.
No, definitely not you.
So then why do you need a safe space if you don't fear anyone?
Because there are women that are vulnerable in society. All women are vulnerable in society. Just because I'm a one person that says that I'm not afraid doesn't mean that a woman that gets beat up by her husband should be not entitled to go to a DV shelter. It doesn't mean that young girls shouldn't have protections and get their scholarships taken away by males. I mean,
You know what? And I completely agree. And I have seen a lot of examples where we, allow some of the gay boys into feminine spaces as well, because we recognize and acknowledge that they are not a threat in the same way that, men are.
well, gay boys are still men, right?
Right, but
we
you
accept,
can't tell
we
me.
accept them, but we accept them in our spaces. I've been to bars when I was younger, 20 years ago, where there was an entire female restroom filled with gay men.
Right, and that's because we understand something very intrinsic about their nature and their behaviors.
Which is what? They're feminine and they're not a harm to women?
Correct.
Okay.
Long story short, yes.
So is your argument, I just want to be clear, because this is wild, I've never had this discussion before. Is your argument that feminine men only are not a threat to women? So therefore women do not need protection against any men?
No, not at all. I think that those spaces are sacred for a reason, and that reason is shared with trans women. And we need protection as well.
But the thing is that you do need protection. But in your plight to find protection, you don't have to jump on us to have us protect you in our spaces.
No, nobody would expect that.
To be in our space is a privilege. It's a privilege to be in our space. We'll accept people that transition into the other gender. If you're a male that's transitioned into a female, into a woman, a trans woman, we allow y'all into our spaces. But the problem now is that somebody like you is going to come up here and go, well, because there are femme men, we should automatically understand that they're not a threat to females, and then we can include all men into that category. You can't specify feminine men that are not a threat. It doesn't work like that.
Not automatically.
But you did.
No, I did not.
Listen, you can't break up stereotypes of men when we're talking about female protection. It's against all men, masculine and feminine, tall and short, fat and skinny, black and white, period.
Then why do we allow it?
Because women are empathetic and we allow men in our spaces. We allow women in our spaces that integrate into society quietly, not self-ideas. Y'all don't belong in the restroom. Y'all don't belong in our colleges or getting our scholarships or in our DV shelters or in our prisons. Y'all don't belong there.
Very interesting.
What's interesting? What am I saying that's so interesting? You don't think that females are entitled to have a space if they have to go into...
I told you I do.
Okay, so then where's your stance here? You're agreeing with me.
My stance is exactly what I said, that we recognize that these rights to these sacred spaces have been fought for and petitioned for, and women themselves have behavioral traits that we have developed over generations upon generations that makes us so paranoid and skeptical and always looking over our shoulders and etc. These are learned traits, and they make sense. They are biological, and trans women are just as vulnerable, if not more, to the same men that women are vulnerable to. So, with that understanding, does it matter who's pissing in the stall next to you? Does it really?
Well, I mean, if a female's in there and she feels uncomfortable, I would say yes, it does matter.
Well, you could be in the restroom with 20 biological females, but the moment you hear the Velcro sound that a pad makes or a splash of a poop hitting the water in the toilet bowl, you might be uncomfortable in that moment as well, especially if you're right next to the other stall. If somebody farts, there's a lot of things that can make you uncomfortable. It doesn't mean that they're unsafe.
No, that has nothing to do. You're conflating two completely different things. That's a natural.
No, you're fear-mongering. That's what you're doing.
I'm not fear-mongering.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
If I hear a woman in the bathroom taking a pad off of her underwear, which I hear probably every time I use a restroom, that's not something to fear or to feel uncomfortable about. We don't feel uncomfortable about things like that. How are you conflating a woman changing her pad for her menstrual cycle to a biological male in the restroom?
How are you conflating moments of uncomfortable whatevers with a risk to your personal safety? If somebody farts right next to you, you're going to feel totally comfortable?
That doesn't make me uncomfortable. That will make me laugh. And I'm saying to myself,
if you're smelling somebody else's shit, that's going to make you feel
scared or uncomfortable. No, it doesn't. It's part of life. That's not scary.
Yeah, okay.
That's not uncomfortable. I literally laugh in the stall and continue handling my business and leave the restroom. That's not.
What if it was you? Would you feel uncomfortable?
I'm sorry.
Let a big one rip. Would you feel uncomfortable?
Can you turn your camera on?
No.
Turn your camera on.
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not prepared and I don't want to.
Why are you not prepared?
Because I'm about to go to bed soon.
Okay. Anyway, you're comparing somebody passing gas in a bathroom with somebody feeling uncomfortable if there's a biological male in there.
I'm comparing moments of uncomfortable feelings, however you want to imagine it.
But I'm telling you, we don't feel uncomfortable in those moments. You're wrong.
Okay, well, I've been on hormones for 3 years now, and I get uncomfortable when I see a shadow, when I see a bug crawling across the ground. There's all sorts of things that make me feel uncomfortable, even if for a fleeting moment.
Okay, when you see a shadow or a bug on the ground, then I think you need to go talk to a therapist and see why you're so scared of everything.
Yeah, no, women are totally not afraid of those things. Totally. We all need therapists for that.
You're coming up here with a premise that I should be uncomfortable with a woman that's changing her menstrual pad, as I should feel the same uncomfortability as a male in my restroom.
That's some good word voodoo you got going on there. I didn't say that at all, though.
You did, though. You said that.
No, I didn't.
You said there's moments of being uncomfortable in female restrooms, like a woman that's changing her pad, or a woman that is using the restroom to poop.
Okay. So here's a better one. Here's an innocent one for you, since you want to get hung up on one and totally ignore the bigger point.
You use that example. I'm using your example.
How about one of those crazy loud ringtones that are like a baby screaming or whatever? It's just totally obnoxious and loud, and it really puts you off guard, even if for a fleeting moment. Because that's about all it takes.
Are you talking about something that's unexpected that will go, oh,
yes.
like that?
Yes,
so
precisely.
But there's no threat to my safety with a loud ringtone. What don't
and
you
And neither
understand?
is there when you see somebody with a little bit of facial hair in your precious little bathroom. They're just there to piss.
I don't think that we're having the same exact conversation. I think you're not listening to what I'm saying to you. We have separate spaces. Hold on. No. We have separate spaces designated for females because we are a protected group of individuals. Okay? We're a protected group. So if we're in college or we're going to high school and we're going to get a scholarship for college and it's a female only scholarship, women's only. If I go to the doctor and I request a woman doctor, if we talk about women's history, women's shelters, women's prisons, we already know that is automatically tied to females, not to people that identify as women.
Okay.
Jessica, what's so hard? Why are we not entitled to having our own protective spaces? Why are we not deserving of protection because you want to come into my space? So now we have to protect ourselves and y'all?
I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out, won't we?
I guess we're gonna have to, and I'm gonna keep holding these lives. And if you want to come up here, cam up one day and have a genuine conversation, and not tell me that I should fear hearing a pad pull off a woman next to me's underwear, or if she decides to poop in the stall next to me that I should be afraid of. Don't be ridiculous with those ridiculous examples. Those are what you brought to the table. I didn't bring those up.
I'm not the best conversationalist, admittedly, but I have some friends, like Parker, Adora, Mel.
Adora, I debated Adora 5 times already. They will not let me on the panel.
I wonder why.
Because I speak the facts.
You just go around and around in circles.
No, I don't.
Around and around.
I make clear points that nobody likes. So they'll say that I'm a cat chasing my own tail.
Basically.
Yeah, listen, you don't have to agree with my premise, but it doesn't take away that women deserve protection and women deserve spaces. And T women are not included in female spaces. If you integrate into society quietly, you're welcome. We welcome you in. But men that are 6 feet tall, men that are 5'5", that are not even attempting to transition, y'all are not welcome in those spaces, period. Ever.
Yep.
Ever.
Okay.
And is that a problem with you?
No, but like you mentioned earlier, a lot of times, because there are some trans women who live as a woman every single day. They've been doing it for years and years and years. They've had all the surgeries, but they'll never pass 100%.
Then they don't belong in the restroom.
Exactly. And that's what you believe. And
Yes.
nobody's going to change your mind until, you know, the law hopefully forces you to. So you're stuck where you are, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean that I have to buy into it. Other people have to buy into it, be bullied by it. And if I'm in the bathroom and you say something to me, I'm going to continue doing my business until my business is done.
But you
And
know
if
what?
the situation escalates, we'll deal with it then.
Sure. TS, I'm not sure if you're trying to threaten me, but that's not going to work, number one. Number two is just how you feel that you're entitled to my space. I feel like I'm entitled to my space. So don't sit here and pretend that I have less rights in my own space because you're a T woman and you want to come into my space.
If it was your bathroom in your home or your school or your classroom or your office or something, it'd be different.
Of course it would be different because it's a single bathroom and it's in my home. And if you're in my home and I'm welcoming you in there, you're welcome to use my restroom.
Unfortunately, public restrooms are for the public.
Right. Female restrooms are for women. Women's restrooms are for women. You're not entitled to take a scholarship away from my daughter who plays volleyball. You're not entitled to come into a sorority that are there just for girls, for women. You're not allowed to You're not entitled to be on a sports team that is solely for women. You're not entitled to those. I'm sorry.
Entitled. That's an interesting word.
If you
So if
wanna-
I go in with a friend, if I go in with a friend, even though you feel I may not be entitled to be in a certain space at a certain time, because I go with my friend, that means I am, according to your logic. Because I was invited.
No. You're the cat chasing your own tail now. If you want to
I'm
be
talking about invitations and entitlements.
If you want to be a T woman, you'll have to be. You're going to live your life how you want to live your life as a T woman. Fantastic. Nobody cares, right? But what you cannot do is sit here and demand that you become part of our space. These are our spaces for us for a reason. They're designated to us for a reason. If I went to the gynecologist and I said, "Hey, I'd like my doctor, my OB/GYN, or my gynecologist to be a woman," what am I asking for?
Exactly what you asked for.
Please don't tell me somebody that identifies as a woman.
Better yet, what are the reasons you are asking for? Let's talk about those.
Well, really quick, sometimes women want to go to a gynecologist and get examined by another woman because they feel comfortable.
Anything
Is
else?
that not a possibility that sometimes women feel comfortable with women doctors, especially when they're getting a pelvic exam and fingers are getting inserted?
Okay, go a little bit deeper. Why would you feel more comfortable?
Because sometimes women feel comfortable engaging with women doctors.
Because they're also women, right?
They're females, correct?
Shared understandings, shared experiences, right?
Yes.
Right. So this is something that cis women and trans women share in common.
No, don't call me cis, first of all. I don't subscribe to that. Because if I subscribe to cis,
I didn't.
don't even use that word here. I don't like it. Don't
I'll
use
use whatever word I want in the English language.
Don't use that word when you're engaging with me. I'm respecting you, and I would appreciate if you respect me for not using that word. If I use the word cis, then I break womanhood into two, and that means men and women can join. So I don't subscribe.
One of those. Yeah, well, you know, if you don't want to be called something, I won't call you that. But you're not going to dictate what language I use. You can kick me.
You could respect my pronouns as I respected yours.
I'm not. I wasn't referring to you.
Anyway, the reason why women
about you or to you.
The reason why women request female doctors and women doctors is because they feel more comfortable with women. You cannot sit here and tell me that you have a shared experience with me, so I should accept you as a T woman as my gynecologist.
I would argue that we have more shared than we do not.
I would say we do not have more shared experience. No, we don't. You can live and integrate.
I would argue with you on that point.
You can live and integrate into society as a woman, right? But if I'm sitting here requesting a woman doctor, we already know that that's a biological female. Point blank.
If you say so.
No, that's a fact. That's what it is.
Well, there may come a time where you have to word it like that. I don't know. Just like with the sports thing, I think there's a lot more discussion that needs to be had around these things. But something as simple as using the bathroom, you know, give me a break. Common sense prevails here.
But common sense does prevail. So you think that somebody that self-IDs as a T woman that does nothing to change their physical appearance or their anatomy whatsoever should be entitled to use the restroom or should be entitled to in a prison or in a DV shelter?
look, in the throes of everyday life that you're gonna experience out in public, I don't think those things are realistically happening on a level that you should be afraid of. The ones
Again,
that
but
are
it's
using
nobody's afraid.
female spaces are
It's about
presenting
respect.
feminine. They're living in femme. We're not
It's
going to
about
use
respect. It's about reality and respect. It's not about fear.
reality and respect. Is if I gotta piss, let me piss.
The thing is that you're not entitled to our space. That's the thing. You're not entitled. We allow y'all into our space.
And you're not entitled
Y'all
to be a
should-
bodyguard
y'all
of that
should respect it.
space.
Y'all should respect it. It's simple. If you go into our space and we feel uncomfortable because we know that you're a male, you should, and we say, hey, would you mind letting me finish up and using the restroom before you come in? Your answer should be sure, no problem. Because
What
it's
would
designated for us.
What would you do? Break the door down as I'm peeing? Like, come on.
If you're peeing in the bathroom, I don't know. But if I'm standing in the bathroom and you walk in and I feel uncomfortable with you in there, or another woman feels uncomfortable and they say, hey, can you please leave? The mutual respect would be sure I'll leave because the space is designated for us.
I think trans people do, trans women, I should say, take this into serious consideration. We don't stand in front of the mirror fixing our makeup and our hair. We walk in, we go straight to the urinal, we do our business, we wash our hands, and we leave. If you catch me when I'm washing my hands and you decide to say something when I'm on my way out already,
But there's no urinal in the women's restroom.
the toilet.
Okay. But I'm explaining something to you. If we simply say, well, you actually threatened me earlier. You said, well, if I don't leave, what are you going to do?
That's a threat or a question?
Well, I'm just asking you. You made a claim that if I asked you to leave and you said, well, if I didn't, what are you going to do? I mean, what does that leave us to do here? That doesn't show us that you guys have respect for us.
No, I'm saying, like, what are your options? What are you going to do? Jump me? Was
Did I
that a
say-
threat to me? Are you threatening
No,
me?
I don't fight men. No, I wouldn't jump you.
Exactly. So, like, it's a moot point.
Okay. If I invite anybody else on the panel to have a conversation, will you drop?
I will drop. I don't argue with neo schmatzis. I simply own them. Thank
Oh,
you for
you don't-
having me, though.
Neo schmatzis?
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. I would just say that you're a beta male in society. Anyway, let me go up here. Interesting.
Yeah, no, that was really interesting. It's unfortunate that the person doesn't respect women's boundaries. They're basically just a typical male dominant type of, personality who thinks that men should have jurisdiction to do whatever they want in women's spaces, and women should have no power in any women's spaces. And it's just sad.
Can I point something out?
Wait. Let me say this real quick. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, the absolute irony. That person said, you're not going to force me to say this speech. You're not going to force me to not say sis, but they're forcing us to make us call them a woman. Like, make it make sense.
It's common male entitlement, really.
I want to hear Miss Matt.
Sorry.
Wait, Miss Matt, hang on. Let me mute everybody. I can't hear you. Go ahead, Miss Matt.
The idea that they think they get to determine to call us cisgender, or they get to define us who were born with ovaries, uterus, were born with everything as a woman, and then they get to determine what they get to call us. And then the idea that it's always this idea of fight me, and we're women, and you're a man.
Typical abusive male.
Yeah, you fight me. You're a man, even though you're saying you're a woman, but the idea that you want to get violent with women, born women, there's something wrong with that.
That's not a very girly thing, right?
It's typical. It's typical male pattern behavior,
And
really.
it's
When they don't get their
hilarious
way, they're going to threaten violence.
It's hilarious that they called us the Schnazis when they're the one that says they're going to force our speech, they're going to force our behavior, they're going to make us do all this stuff. I don't know, like a fascist would. So the only fascist here is you, TS. So know your role and shut your mouth and stay out of Christie's restroom.
And like I said, if the people that are in society are entitled to use it, you're integrated. You took time to look and emulate womanhood. So we are empathetic people. You guys are in our bathrooms. It's no problem.
I have to say, that's the problem with that, and you got to understand. Little girls use the restroom. So why would a grown man want to use the bathroom that's designated for women?
Well, I want to point out that there was like really serious red flag statements made in that conversation that I want to make sure that people hear and pay attention to. When a trans woman, which I'm assuming that's what that was, says things like, well, they want the law to force women to comply. Well, if you don't comply, hopefully the law will force you to, right? When they say things like, well, I'm going to go in any space I want, and what are you going to do about it? And when they say things like all these type of red flag statements, I just want people to pay attention to that. And when they refuse to stop demanding our language be a certain way to make them feel good, right? Or to affirm them, quote unquote, but they turn around and say, you're not going to police what I say. When you hear things like this is the reason why women feel the way they do. This is why we feel this way. When people say, why do you care? Why do you care? That's my favorite question. Why do you care so much? This is part of the reasons why. Do you understand? Those type of statements to hear from a biological man are very worrisome to me.
Because it comes across as very violent. This is just my take on it. They are at war with women who are born women. You can take it any way you want, but that's how I see it.
At war.
And it's a step-by-step
And there are
process.
biological women in this chat sticking up for that person. I forget their name, TS or whatever. And these are biological women, real women, defending that person. When you just listen to that person say that they want the law to force women to do something, do you understand what you're supporting and what you're defending? That means you too, women that are sticking up for him.
Well, it's because they're the fascists, because they're the ones trying to force us. They're the ones trying to force this in America. It's insane, ridiculous, and we must stop this before it goes too far. We don't want to end up like Canada. We don't want to end up like Ireland.
Wait, is somebody snoring?
Why is there always someone snoring on your panel?
Somebody's always snoring. Wait. Somebody's snoring.
It wasn't me, I promise. Can I just say one thing? I don't know why it's so shocking for us as a society, right? When a man walks into a woman's restroom, okay, let me give you some statistics. 1 in 3 women will face some form of sexual assault within their lifetime. Men are the most violent, okay? They are the most violent of the human species. Women shouldn't be worried, right? When a man with long hair and some facial hair walks into a women's restroom and feels entitled to that space. And AV, I understand what you mean about fascism from the left in this community, right? They will try to persecute you if you do not conform to their compelled speech, right? Calling them a man, calling them a woman, referring to yourself, a biological man or woman, as a cis man or cis woman, okay? It's just, I don't get how people have their judgment is clouded. They've been indoctrinated into thinking that this kind of behavior is acceptable. And like he said, what he said was he made a soft threat. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know I'm biologically stronger than you, so why don't you remove me from this space if you're going to do something? Well,
those are the red flag statements I was talking about.
that actually can be arranged for you to be removed, and it won't be done by a woman, right?
No, it would not be done by a woman.
Christie, I wanted to add something real quick, if possible.
Yep, up into the big screen since you're on camera.
Us women. It's partly the fault of us women because we have given them the space to feel like they can integrate with us. This is partly our fault.
Yep, I said that too.
Look, I gotta go. I just wanted to say something real quick about what was happening before this person that couldn't understand much very well. Anyways, you were talking about earlier about uterine transplants, and let's assume that you could actually get the uterus inside the man and he won't reject it. There's an even bigger problem that nobody's talking about. The reason why women have a lot more incidence of autoimmune disorders is because the women's immune system has to be fine-tuned to be able to not reject the fetus, which is tissue that even though belongs to her, also belongs to part of the husband. So it's kind of not hers at the same time, right? And you've seen women that have a second pregnancy. Sometimes they have a different blood group and they already develop a reaction. It's called an RH incompatibility, where they will attack their own fetus in the second pregnancy. That's why they got to give them a particular drug during pregnancy, okay? So even if you were able to put a fetus inside a man, and let's assume that that man will not reject that fetus, the uterus, the man will reject the fetus, because our thymus, okay, which develops before puberty and it stops around 20 years old or whatnot to adjust the T cells, we will attack that fetus. That fetus will not be viable. So I don't know where they're getting this from. Yeah, sure. Let's assume you can get the uterus and you can open up the space in the pelvic bone. Let's assume you go through all of that. You will still kill 100% of the, unalive 100% of the time, that fetus. That will not happen. Impossible.
I'm Rh negative and I had to get the Rogam shot during my pregnancy.
So you know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I just wanted to add to that because I don't know where they're coming with this.
Roselle, you need to be a doctor, not a truck driver, bro.
Oh, brother, I'm a doctor. I'm working in the truck.
Are
to save
you?
money to go to the ER. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, but anyways, guys, I gotta go.
What's your background, Russell? Your medical background, really quick?
General medicine. I study general medicine. I want to do specialty training here in the States with my wife. By the way, she got out of surgery. She's doing great, and she might be in the live. I'm not sure because I shared it to her.
Okay. Awesome.
But
Well, hi.
anyways,
hi.
I gotta go, guys. I would love to continue talking, but I gotta drive. Pleasure. Christy, I loved it.
Oh, thanks, Russell. You're always
Bye-bye.
welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
So I just wanted to say, first of all, because I this morning I was up and I was watching a live, and the gentleman to the left of me, he was actually on that live, and it was a yes, and it was like it was a live with a transgender post-operative woman or something like that, and it's always. They always want to be heard, but will never listen. And I just wanted to say, like, this is the very first live that I have ever seen of people combating against it and actually speaking out against, you know what I mean, the situation. And you as the host, I just have to say you were going off and I was watching. And we need more people to stand up for women because, you know what I mean? I have a 3-year-old and, I mean, it's scary. You know what I mean? Like,
Because you know what I noticed? There's a lot of T people on this app that are arguing for what I'm saying. So they understand and they respect women. They respect us. So they're in our spaces because they've done a job where they integrate into society. They respect women's spaces. They respect female spaces, and they're in the space. That's okay. That's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the ones that don't integrate, that don't care, that self-ID. That's the dangerous problem that we're having.
Daisy, are you talking about me?
yeah, you were on a live this morning. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
remember, but you were actually up on the panel, and
I go into the op boxes, not just people that I agree with, right? I'm in there in there getting it done, talking to people, and I don't know if you saw the comments of how much they battle, they want to batter me, right? Because I'm not gonna just stay in my comfort zone and stay where people agree with me. I'm gonna go in and go to the opposition and also debate them, right? And if they don't agree, right, their first thing to do is start saying you're spreading misinformation. Someone who I actually follow and have studied biology, and I agree with biology, and I can just say to that community that they are science deniers, right? They say they believe in science, they say they believe in biology, right? But everything they say about it doesn't actually agree with biology. That's the issue. So don't take anything that this community says and people that say they're advocating for it, whether they're an ally or they belong to that community, is serious.
Thank you. Yeah, 99% of them don't know the difference between any two intersex conditions. You know what I mean, and that's a big problem as well. Like, they lump all intersex conditions into one condition, and that's like, what is that? Like, no, there's all intersex conditions are either male, a variation of either male or female, and this is what bro's talking about, like about knowing about biology. It's like, if you don't know the difference between male and female, then you don't know the difference. Like they basically have no standing in this conversation, right?
I think it's
the difference between man and woman.
I think it's broken down 40. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I interrupted. My apologies. Man, well, they also say it's a third gender. And when you ask them what the third set of gametes are, they don't have a clue.
Yeah.
Third gender. It's in between the both genders.
It's 46XX, 46XY, true gonadal, and complex and undetermined. That is literally the 4 categories that it is broken down into. And none of them would say or even imply that it is a third sex or gender. There you go. I'm not even intersex, and I know that.
She was implying that
if they say it's a third gender, ask
in
them
the
what the
second
third
trimester
genitalia
of
is.
pregnancy.
That's what you need to ask them. What is the third genitalia? Because we got male genitalia, female genitalia.
Well, they don't
Okay, if there's a
conflate it with
third-
genitalia, so they're never going to answer that question.
Can I jump in here? I just want to say this. Any woman that's had a baby knows having a child is the closest thing to death you'll ever come. And, they could do whatever they want to as far as transplanting. They have no idea what it's like to give birth to a child. Absolutely no idea. No idea.
And they never will.
The law comment really, really bothered me. I can't kind of get that out of my head. I don't like statements like that because it shows where your mind is. And I'm just not, I don't know how people can't see when, to me, it doesn't always have to do with SA in a bathroom, right? To me, like my argument is always, if we just say no, it should mean something. We don't have to be getting SA'd in mass numbers to fucking say no. We just say no, and that should be enough, and it's not. And that's why I get upset, because when we say no, they're like, well, why? Well, what are you scared of? Because we just don't want to. And then when they make a statement like what was made to Christie, saying, well, you don't have a right to be a bodyguard of those spaces. Why doesn't she? Why don't we? We are the only reason, women are the only reason those spaces exist, because women fought and died to get those spaces. So don't sit up here as a whole man and tell women that we have no right to be bodyguards of our own spaces that women before us fought and died for and went to jail for.
It's basically whether or not female humans are going to have jurisdiction over women's spaces or not. Right? Or like,
It goes back to what I said. We allowed them, we gave them too much grace and space to support them to come in our spaces.
What do you mean that you've given too much grace and space? I'm really confused about that.
It's always been women that has supported the trans movement, the adaptation of their lifestyle and what they think. It's always been women, and now they've been allowed to believe that they can move and operate as a woman because of us women, because of us, and now it's out of control. You can't let people just like with race. You can't tell people, okay, we're gonna let you in, but then we get to dictate, well, how they're gonna, how, and why, and how far it goes. That's what I'm saying.
I don't understand how in this instance it's just like race. You said you've let women invite people into your space, and now they're doing too much. That's like saying like, oh, now white people have let people of color into their space, and now people of color want too much.
Wait, what we did, Miss Piggy, is we affirmed, right, a mental disorder, right? We have been affirming and too accepting of a disorder, right? And that's the people that actually are suffering from gender dysphoria, which is less than the 1%. So all the other 99% of the less than 1%, okay? They're just suffering from mental illness. So we went too far by affirming this behavior as a society and letting this continue and get to this point. That was our first downfall.
Exactly.
And now this community's gotten so far that they feel entitled to spaces that don't belong to them. That's the issue.
Well, I guess what you
and it's the women it's the women. Now we can't put this on these men. It is the women, the female race, that gave them the entitlement to feel like, okay, so I can identify as a woman. You can't open that door and then dictate how things operate once you open that door.
Right. So in real life context, what do you think would happen in a bathroom? Like if you're going to go out into the, after today in this talk, what do you do if you see a trans woman in the bathroom? Like maybe you clock them, but nobody else seems to clock them. Everybody else is just going about their business. Are you going to?
I told them to leave. When I've been in spaces with me and other women, I told them to leave. The little girls in this restroom, you need to go use another restroom.
So because
I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that.
Talking Miss Matt before y'all jump in.
Kaya, let Miss Matt and Miss Piggy engage for a few minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you say you tell them to leave, so it's like it might be you who no, just the person might be trans, and then everybody else is just going about their business. You make like a big scene.
No, I've experienced. I live in Florida, so I live near Disney and all this stuff. So I've been in those spaces where transgender women come in the restroom, and you have little girls coming in the bathroom by themselves. It wasn't just me by myself. I had other family members with me, and I told them, you need to leave. The little girls come in this restroom, and that's another thing. We got to stop sending these babies in the restroom unattended.
Right, I was going to say, you should never be sending your child into the restroom by yourself.
But you know what, Miss Piggy, that shouldn't have anything. That shouldn't even be. You understand what I'm saying? That shouldn't even be in the first place, where you're sending little girls to the restroom by themselves first. But I shouldn't have to be mama playing protector over your children because now you have transgender women using the restroom. You understand what I'm saying to you?
The question should really be: are men or any male, are they going to respect women's boundaries or not? That should really be the question. Not what are women going to do? Are women going to kick him out, or are they going to start a scene? You know what I mean? No. Are men going to respect women's boundaries? That should be the question.
Well, no, I mean, I'm
trans women going to respect
I'm asking because I was live the other day where there was.
Let Miss Piggy finish. Hang on, go ahead.
She asked me the question. I asked the person to leave, but the person left because there were 5 other women with me.
I was just asking
by myself
because I was in a live the other day, and somebody said they would make a scene even if everybody was going about their business. And she happened to clock a trans woman. That's why I was just asking that they would be, causing ruckus. I'd be like, that's too much. Like
I can't say what the response been if I had been by myself.
if the
For the
scene
fact
is,
that I
is
was
created,
with
it's, you can blame the scene on the trans woman who's not respecting the boundaries. Okay, if a man is not respecting the boundaries, then a woman has the right to create a scene or whatever you want to call it. All right. So, it's
So
like,
I'm.
the
I
question
guess
should be: are men going to respect women's boundaries or not?
Manimal. I'm sorry. I have to
Well,
chime in. I have to chime in because,
Just
and this is,
answer
I'm
the
not attacking
question.
anybody when I say this, but this is the thing. You keep saying men disrespecting women.
No, I'm asking if men are going to respect them.
No, they're
That's
not.
something we don't
No, they're
know.
self-IDing and
No.
coming in the bathroom.
Right.
They're
Well,
literally
That's
with a whole beard
exactly.
and
so
a
how long
facial,
have you been
a
self-IDing?
woman's
What do you
clothes,
mean
Yeah.
self-IDing?
identifying as a woman to go into the bathroom. And the avenue that it's creating, and that's
Guys,
the avenue that this is
real quick
creating.
question for Miss Piggy: what sex is incarcerated, right, the most for sexual crimes, sex crimes?
Men.
Okay. What sex is incarcerated most for violent crimes?
Men.
Okay. Should I keep going? Because I got a couple more. And I'm glad you're answering honestly. Do you think that women should be totally fine with the most violent offenders of just about every crime there is to commit? Do you think they shouldn't be worried about those trans women, which are biological males, right? In spaces that don't belong to them. Do you think they should just be like, don't be worried about it? Because I can tell you this as a man, for a woman to walk in a men's restroom, she entered a dangerous space,
Okay,
statistically speaking.
That's
Right?
a perfect segue. So, I mean, for me, I guess I can't. It's hard to answer that question, one, because as a trans woman who is post-operative, and Christy has seen me, I don't really have issues going into the restroom. And if somebody were to stop me, like yesterday when I was at the theater, I would be really surprised and taken aback. And also at the same time, if they tried to send me to the men's restroom, as you said, it would become unsafe for me in there because of the way that men could be violent towards me. I mean, I'm not.
Wait, you are a male though. Just because you got surgery doesn't change your biology, right?
We're not doing that, man.
It's very interesting that,
Okay, surgery.
that men are a threat somehow. Like so the trans woman knows that men are a threat, right? So they don't want to use the men's bathroom, but they think it's okay for men to use the women's bathroom.
Because it can bullet women.
Make it make sense.
And the thing is, no matter how much estrogen you take, no matter how. Let me interject this point. I don't care how much estrogen you take, whatever you take, you still have the strength of a man.
You think that you really think I have the strength of a man?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You were born
The
a
real
man.
question, it comes down very simple.
If I'm
Should
5'11"
female humans
and I weigh 115 pounds, there's no way. And I started my transition when I was 13 years old. There's no way that I have the
Miss
strength.
Piggy, that's
of a man.
you.
You're born a man.
Okay, but Alana, she just
Your
tried to.
chemical
She was speaking
makeup-
directly to
your
me, so
chemical
I was
makeup is
responding to her about myself.
your chemical
Listen,
makeup
I've
is
seen
still of a
Angelica
man.
multiple times. Angelica would never, ever, ever, ever pass as a man. Ever.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is that there are. What are we supposed to go on a case by case basis in the
Well,
bathroom?
no,
Do you know what I mean?
Alana, I would just say that people that actually transition, that put work into transition, they've always been in our spaces. We've accepted them as women in our spaces.
Exactly. Hold on,
Here's the thing, guys.
Is that really loud?
Women, look, one woman can't consent on behalf of any other woman. Okay, so it just comes down to this. It's a very simple matter. Should female human beings have jurisdiction in women's spaces, or should male human beings be able to override, whatever their objections are? Right.
Okay,
It's very simple.
I'm gonna respond.
Any woman,
respond to this.
should any woman have jurisdiction over female spaces? Yes or no?
I'm going to respond to this. Obviously not. But once again, we're not referring to men. We're referring to trans women.
Obviously
That's
not.
what this whole conversation is about. And the issue that I have with this is because there's this huge
what's
fear
a trans
mongering.
woman?
Can you let me finish?
What's a
ma'am?
trans woman?
A trans woman
You
is
said we're talking about trans women, but what's a trans woman?
a trans woman is a woman. It's like somebody who is not born biologically female.
So a male.
And I'm acknowledging
Just-
that.
yeah, a
I know
male.
that.
If they're not
Somebody
female,
who
then they're
is-
male. Just say
if
male
somebody
then.
who is trans. I'm acknowledging that, and I know that. And there are certain things that I don't do because I don't want to make cis women uncomfortable. But the issue is this whole bathroom argument, this whole entering into certain spaces thing is just ridiculous. Because I work in a workspace. I live in California. I work in a workspace, and I work with a lot of other fellow trans women. There are some of us who pass more than others. There are some of us who don't necessarily want to pass, as they say.
That's the problem.
But the thing about it is, those people, it's a social thing. Most people, from my experience, who are early on in their transition, like, they still have a beard or they look very masculine presenting, do not usually use public women's spaces. They don't.
And what about when they do?
That's the reality.
Why did you say it's a problem if people like
don't pass. Not everybody has the privilege to be able to do that. Like some people, the testosterone has made their bones grown in a way where like you can't just like smash all the bones.
Yeah, exactly. Because they still feel entitled to use women's
taking.
spaces. That's what's the problem. They still feel entitled to use women's
Well,
spaces.
can we define entitled, please? Because that's why I was asking about like real world repercussions. Like
so
there's some things that would be absurd if I were to go do, and they would cause more ruckus than they would if I just like use the woman's breath.
Miss Piggy.
Correct. And then half the
entitlement
time,
is
then you're going to
self-ID.
blame the women
Self-ID
and
is
say that
entitlement.
they're the ones causing the scene, right? Because they're objecting to the presence of a male, and you're going to say they're freaking out about the presence of this male, right? The poor male who is identifying as a woman. We need to all bring our empathy toward him when we're missing the point that a woman's space, like, should it be basically female humans should have jurisdiction over women's spaces.
I mean, Manimal, you're basically proving that you have zero empathy. You're basically proving that you have zero empathy.
What are you talking about?
Is a lack of empathy.
Answer my question, then.
This
Answer my
whole
question.
conversation is like,
Answer my question.
I've already answered your
Should
question.
female human beings have jurisdiction over women's spaces? And if not,
Yes,
why are we
of
calling
course
them
they should. Of course they should.
Okay, then you agree with me. You agree that
I know
female
I'm not
humans should have
agreeing
the.
with you though, in a 100%
Then how?
like that.
You aren't
It's not
comprehending
black and
that.
white.
You aren't comprehending.
It's not,
If
Manimal,
you
it's not,
agree
it's not,
that female humans, no, just listen for 1 second. If you agree that female humans should have this jurisdiction over women's spaces, that means you agree that they should be able to exclude any male. Okay, that's my point.
but that's the conversation. These are not men that are trying to, nobody, this is the thing I hate about this conversation about the restroom that's been happening.
You comprehend
since,
what's
like,
happening?
Can I say this? This is the issue that I have with this whole bathroom argument that has been happening like since like about 2016 when it really started blowing up online and in the media. Is that there's so much there's like so much lack of education around this subject. It started when they were saying gender neutral bathrooms were going to be placed in schools, and people assumed that meant like, oh, boys are going to be going into the girls' restroom, girls are going to be going to the boys' restroom. They were literally just talking about building gender neutral restrooms so people who didn't necessarily feel comfortable in one or the other could go use the restroom. That's how the conversation started. That's like how this all started, basically. And then it snowballed into something completely.
Jordy, you said they're not men. You said they're not men. What is a man?
A man is what if you identify as a man.
No, a man is an adult human male, okay? So they are absolutely men, right? Because they are biological males. So what is the definition of male?
Nobody refers to me as a man, and I'm
I know you leftists are dictionary deniers, but I agree. I think words and their definitions are important, right?
Hang on 1 second. Manimal, can I make you admin? I need like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So I think words and their meanings are important, right? So you keep saying the phrase when you're referring to trans women as they are not men, but they are absolutely men because the definition of a man is an adult human male. Okay, so I just want to correct the terminology that you're using. So an adult human male doesn't. Jordy, yes, it is true. It is. Oh, okay, Miss Piggy. Yeah, no, it is absolutely 100% true.
Okay,
so I want to.
Something. What makes you more learned in that profession for people who spend their whole lives researching to say that it means man and male are the same thing?
Okay, so listen, it's not learned. It's not learned. It's educated.
Let me take care of this.
First, learned is a word. I don't know if you know that, but it is.
Let me handle this.
It could be used the same way, and these people are educated. Yes, it is. I don't. How about you guys go look up what learned means?
Can I say something?
Let me handle this too.
Male-dominated
Look at that, babe.
Don't bathe me.
Look,
It's very-
hold on, guys,
Not you, Miss Matt. I'm talking to him neutral.
I'm trying to speak.
Sorry, it's really quiet, Miss Matt. We can barely hear you.
Okay, so I want to say this. Biological women do not like to be referred to as cis women.
Right.
Do you understand that?
So let me handle because the issue is whether or not man refers to adult human male. So
Yeah.
wait, just really quick. What words?
Oh, my Lord.
And I don't know who the opposition is right here, but Miss Piggy or Jordy or whoever it is. Like, what words do you have that will distinguish between human beings of either sex, the adults from the children human beings of either sex? So we have 4 concepts there: the adult human beings of either sex from the children human beings of either sex. What concepts do you have that will distinguish between those 4 concepts?
First of all, sex and
Just
gender.
answer the question.
Sex and gender-
Please just answer the question.
I am answering the question. I'm literally no. First of all, though.
Do you understand that the question I'm asking
So why
for
are we
4
why are we
words?
identifying people's
I'm
sexes in
asking
the first place? Why are we identifying people's sexes in the first place? That's your
because-
genitals. That's all that sex is your genitals. Like what makes it up.
Yeah,
that.
correct.
That is
So,
like it's your genetic makeup. What does that? But gender and sex are completely different things.
so you aren't
So
answering my
gender
question.
expression, even you as a
answering my
biological man,
question.
I am answering the question, but there needs to be an explanation.
No, I'm asking you a simple question. Okay, you understand that like
Your
the reason
answer,
we
the
have
question
language in the first
boy,
person.
girl, man, woman.
Those are the words, correct?
Okay,
Those are the words.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah,
Okay,
boy,
good,
girl,
good. So
those are
guess what? So guess what just happened now? You are now conceding the entire argument.
No,
And
I'm
you
not.
just said that man and woman do not refer to human beings of either sex, and now you just said that they do.
No, I did not say that.
Yes, you did. Okay, so you didn't. You didn't.
No, what I'm trying to
Okay, again, think about it. Yes, you did.
Identify as
Stop,
cis women, then
stop. No, you guys. We have to run through it again. Okay. What words do you have that will distinguish between the concepts of adult humans of either sex from the children humans of either
Yes,
sex?
man and woman,
You
boy and
tried to
girl.
deflect.
I get what you're saying.
Good.
I get what you're saying. That's not what I'm. That's
Those
not.
are the
I'm not
words.
arguing with you on that fact.
You just proved our point though,
I'm not
literally.
making your point because you gotta let me
Yes.
talk and
Yes,
explain
and
where I'm
I
coming
need you to
from.
pause.
You guys don't
No,
even
I need you to
explain where
pause
I'm
and
coming
acknowledge
from
that
and what I'm trying to explain.
pause and acknowledge that you've conceded the entire argument now.
I have not conceded the entire.
You're trying to separate sex and gender when you just agreed to the concept, right? That sex and gender are rooted within each other, right? You
But
can't
you guys
have
also-
one word without the other. The issue is that let me give the issue here. I think it's because this is why words and meanings matter, is because if you and I are speaking right now and we don't have the same understanding of what a word means, we're never going to be able to understand each other or relate to each other. Do you understand that?
Expand and they can change. Hi.
I'm a piggy.
No,
Yeah.
what I was saying. Oh, were you trying to show how beautiful I was, Christy?
Put me on the big screen.
But Hemi Neutron, what I want to say, answer the question, both also to Manimal's question, is yes, I do acknowledge it. Like the way that we look at people's gender is like boy, girl, man, woman. Okay,
I didn't talk about
No.
gender. Wait a minute.
And I'm talking about
established.
sex
Wait,
right
just
now. I'm
pause
talking
really
about
quick.
purely.
We established that man and woman, boy and girl refer to humans of either sex. So when you say sex is not gender, you're saying man, woman, boy, and girl are not genders.
Male and female
That's
are sex. Male and female are sex. That is what sex is.
correct, but male and female don't specify
how do you-
species of the of the organism, right? Male and female don't specify like if it's a plant or an animal, right? So we need words that will specify that the organism is a human and also an adult human, right? Because there are like newborn humans of either sex. What do we call newborn humans of either sex? We call them boys and girls.
When a woman push a baby out, the doctor say it's a girl or it's a boy.
We say
Jordy, what do you
nothing
call
to do with quote unquote gender?
what do you call
May I say something?
what do you call people that aren't trans?
Yo, do you guys know real quick that like there's 3 women up here that have been trying to
Yeah,
talk?
sorry guys, I'll mute.
Trans women, and then the entire conversation.
Yeah, the dominating
Desi,
Just for
I'm sorry
Yeah,
about that.
sorry, I've just been
but
trying to
sometimes,
like respect everybody. I'm trying
trans
to
women
do
don't
this
listen to
whole
women.
I've been quiet whenever I just keep getting
You
interrupted.
haven't.
So
No, you haven't. No, you
please, for a
haven't.
minute.
Miss Matt, don't even try that, Miss. Like
No,
seriously,
you've been
don't even try that, Miss Matt.
arguing
This is the
back
thing.
and
I'm tired of your analogy about pregnancy, Miss Matt. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you
I
talk.
don't really care what you think, Jordan. You don't tell me what to do.
Nobody's telling you what to do.
Let somebody else speak.
I am. I'm letting you speak right now.
Other women speak.
Showtime.
Oh God, I think it's time.
Do it.
Well, I guess I worry about real world implications, and I'm not quite sure why some of the people on your panel don't know that learned is a word. That is a word. Why don't you go look it up? And also on top of that, I would say that man, woman, boy, girl, gender, and sex are 2 different things. I don't know why people deny science and the fact that these definitions have been expanded, or some of them have been changed by people who are learned and people who have researched and put their whole lives into these topics. And they do agree with that. You can go find them. I can give you resources. And yeah, I just worry about real world implications for certain people if we try to be too stringent or make sweeping laws. And yeah.
Miss Matt, you're up.
I want to say this. Like I said before, women, we did this. We opened this Pandora's box with these whatever transgender, whatever they call themselves. We opened this Pandora's box. You can't open Pandora's box and then get to make all these complaints about what's going on. So I personally take it offensive. We adapt everybody, which is absolutely absurd. There has to be a stopping point for something. So, like I say, I protect little girls. When I go in the restroom, yeah, if I'm going to have to fight you, then I'm going to fight you. You have no business using a woman's bathroom with little girls coming in and out. That's it.
Go ahead, Alina, darling. Go ahead.
Hi, I actually have to drop after this, but my biggest issue with this conversation, I think, is the avenue that it paves. Right? Is okay. Like if you pass, you piss, whatever. But it's not like that anymore, right? So like Christy, you had said that they've been coming in our bathrooms and our spaces without us knowing for who knows how long, which is the truth. And I agree, but unfortunately it's not that way anymore. Now we have a self-ID issue. So my problem is it's creating an avenue for self-IDers to just throw something on and put something on and say, poof, I'm a woman, to gain access into our spaces. That's my biggest concern. So what's the middle ground? How do we find a solution to that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's creating loopholes in the rules, I guess, for lack of a better word, for them to come in.
You're up, Manimal.
Yeah, okay, right. So Piggy said something about the real world implications, right? It's like, what are the real world implications when female human beings don't have any spaces where they can ever exclude males from, right? Those are the real implications. And Miss Piggy's trying to erase women's boundaries, right? So there's more concerned about, oh, how will it affect men's ability to include themselves wherever they want to be included, right? That's basically grape culture, right? When we don't give women the ability to exclude males from their spaces, then we have grape culture. We have male dominant society. Women are totally silent. They're basically erased from society, right? And those are the real world implications that Miss Piggy seems to completely unable to wrap his head around, right? So it's just very selfish. It's very narcissistic, right? If women should have boundaries, women should be able to exclude males, and it's just basic, bro.
Yeah, Kaya. See ya.
Oh yeah. Cool thing about this situation, Christy, is when she was talking to you, I don't understand why a trans person is mad because you want a biological woman to do your pap smear, whatever you guys were talking about. If you are transgender, wouldn't you want a transgender doctor or a trans nurse because you want someone that identifies as what you are? And also, I want to say that, like, I don't understand why trans people get mad when we say that we should have trans sports and transgender bathrooms. If you guys had your own bathrooms, we wouldn't have this conversation. If you guys had your own sports, just like there's a male basketball team, a female basketball team, you guys can create a transgender basketball team. You guys have your own things. Let women have their own things and men have their own things. It's that simple. If my little sister says, I want to go into the men's bathroom, no, she's not. You're going into the women's bathroom with your mom, and that's how it's going to be.
All right. Okay, so yeah, I would just say, like, I don't even want to like hear anything about biology or science, from people on my side about denying science or biology, right? From a community who thinks there's a third sex. Yeah, so we'll just leave that at that. But if you can see everything about this community, they're trying to take away from biological men and women with the word cis. The only reason this word was created was to make the allies of the community call themselves cis, right? The biological men and women, and the trans women and men can start calling themselves man and woman, right? So that's the only purpose of that word, is to bring them closer to being able to call themselves a woman and man. And people that are not trans, they will start referring to themselves as cis man or cis woman. So they have very deceitful reasoning behind what they're doing.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Sorry. I've been muted because there was the panel, but yeah. So just kind of to steer off on something. So just like, Dylan Mulvaney was awarded, Woman of the Year and stuff like that. The whole trans conversation and just the whole trans community, like they said, how do we fix this problem? Do they have their own gender neutral bathroom, stuff like that? Just like I said earlier, as a mom of a little girl, it is scary, and we are women, and we fought to have those spaces, we fought to have our rights, and for the government to take rights from us or to tell us like that we have to accept these things is just wrong. And like Miss Met said earlier, we did accept them, and yeah, so I guess.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Hello, everybody. First of all, I want to say cis is not on my birth certificate. I'm a woman. I'm a female. Don't call me cis. I'm a woman. And this is getting to be where trans people feel just so self-entitled now, that they deserve all of this, when you did not work for it. How does that make sense? So, but cis is not on my birth certificate. Yeah, and I'm not going to use a bathroom with a man.
You ran out of time. Sorry.
Finally, my turn. Okay, hi everybody. I say this on here and I say this everywhere. This has been always an attack on women. It has always been an attack on biological women, on our safety, on our freedom of choice, our expression, our minds. Everything has always been a direct attack on women. And they try to make it feel like, we have to understand that from the beginning of time, women have fought for this. We have fought to have our own spaces. We have fought to have spaces that are men free, spaces that we can feel, that we can express ourselves. So for them to come in and invade those just because they want to slap on a wig or a dress and be like, oh, I'm just like you, that's not going to happen. And this is why it's a danger to women. And women need to understand that their rights are being taken away. The rights that we fought so hard for are just being, system is repeating itself, and you're being too brainwashed to understand how it's affecting you.
Wait.
I love it.
Okay. Now you got Angelica. You wanna you
Yeah, there's a couple of things. A war against women. I don't. I guess I don't understand that because I don't think anybody thinks. I don't. I definitely have no war against women. That's not my goal. And
It is not. It is not how you're saying it.
What?
It's the erasure of women. Like when we have no words.
I'm not erasing women either. I think there's the ability for all people to exist. My existence doesn't erase anyone really.
But
then why do you call yourself a woman?
It's erasing our ability. Let me be more specific.
How does it undermine your
Let me be more
effort?
specific, please. It's erasing our
It
ability.
undermines everything, just like I said before. It undermines everything we worked so hard for. We worked so hard to get women on
My
spaces. We worked so
existence.
hard.
Christie, what are you saying, Christie?
I just want to cycle out Jennifer, Kaya, and Desi. Can I cycle you out?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thanks guys for coming up. You guys could jump back in the queue in a few minutes, but I have people that are waiting. Thanks.
Just
Go ahead,
let
guys.
me
My
real quick.
existence undermine everything you've done. Like that's
It's erasing. Let me make it really simple. It's erasing our ability to distinguish human beings of either sex. It's erasing our ability to specify human females in any context. Right? When we're talking about women's history, women's health, women's rights, the word women operates to specify the adult human females in all those contexts. So hold on. So just hold on.
My
Just hold on.
existence is
When
erasing.
you say that woman refers to a different concept that doesn't specify human females, then we lose our ability to specify human females. Do you comprehend?
You fail to understand that women have worked so hard for women-only spaces. We have worked so hard to have our own sports that is gender and sex specific, that centers only around us. No one else can just come in just because they feel like a woman. That's not what we worked so hard for just anyone to come in and feel accepted in our spaces. And that's exactly what I mean by undermining everything we worked so hard for and all our rights. You can't just get free entry because you feel like a woman. That's not how the world
Okay,
works.
so I want to get clarity. You think by myself, existing, breathing, who I am, undermines all the work of women's rights.
It's victimization. You're victimizing yourself.
Hold on. Hun, can I just finish, please?
Let Angelica respond.
Equal prize money and equal participation for women to have their own sports. When I speak equal prize money, I speak like things like tennis, where we have the 50-year anniversary where they make the same prize money as men. We talk about how, well, I don't want to get into abortion because that can be messy, but all of these things that women, I was raised by a wonderful feminist woman who I look up to every day. That has nothing to do with why I'm a woman. But I just, from the time I was 3, when I knew that I was a girl, and then when I knew I had the ability to transition, these women in my life were the women that I looked up to, like many young girls look up to the women in their family. And she taught me everything I know.
What is the point of your story right now?
Can you be quiet, please? Can you be quiet? And I know for a fact I fight day and night.
Stop. It's just a monologue that's derailing.
It doesn't matter. She said I had the time to say what I wanted to say. Let me talk. Oh my God.
As a biological man that's new on this panel right now, I'm gonna stand up, and I'm a biological black gay man. I'm gonna stand up for the biological woman. Because nobody's letting her talk right now. And I'm sick of this shit. And you all are being very disrespectful in the comments. And it infuriates me. It infuriates me because you all want a safe space, but you all are eliminating that. And that is the straight man's on the panel and the transgender. So I'm gonna stand up and just say, let the woman speak, because when they speak, they come from a higher intellect. They come from a more empathetic space. And as a gay man, that's why I like to be around straight women, because they understand the true energy and the emotion. Because yes, I do hold feminine traits. And yes, some of these people do feel like they want to be a woman and they were biologically a man. Is that right? Is that wrong? I am not the person to say that. Do
Yeah, but
those
you just
people need to
bumped
go
in
to
here when
spirit?
Christy said it was
Hold
my
on.
turn to talk, and you spoke
No,
over when he
I'm
gave me the chance to talk.
because I'm speaking for I'm speaking for the woman because I want the woman
Yeah,
to talk.
Christy's
I want the woman to
Christy
talk.
said it was my turn to talk, so I don't know why you're bumping in and taking over.
And you all have been talking this whole time, and you all are arguing instead of having a
I
conversation.
still don't understand this interruption. I really don't.
Okay,
He
okay.
was
So
talking about how I'm erasing
there's
women.
a
I
lot of
just didn't understand
biological
for
women
everything.
on the panel.
We were actually
I
having
never
a
said you're
conversation.
erasing women. Please don't. I will stop you and correct you if you
I'll say it.
misinterpret.
I'll say
Okay,
it.
okay. Well, then that's fine. Then that's fine. Like, I would please do
And
correct
again,
me.
you're
I was just trying to
dominating. You're
understand.
dominating over
Why
me,
are you talking
another
when we're
man,
trying to
as
have a
well as all the women.
conversation?
I'm so confused of the
Dominate the
victimizing
conversation.
behavior. Like, as a transsexual, why do we have to victimize ourselves? Like, I don't feel victimized. I don't need to victimize myself.
But you're dominating the conversation, like he said, and I agree with the young lady that
No,
said.
I just started talking.
Can I say?
promise you.
Okay, so let me say this. I agree with what the young lady said about women have fought so much for women to have a space in the workplace in our society. And as a black woman, I'll add that point. That's double for us. Okay, so
And no amount, and hold
okay.
on, no amount of anecdotal, no amount of like, oh, I went through this. I've had women in my life that I look up. No amount is gonna be able to like undermine and erase all the efforts that we put forward. No amount of I want to be a woman is gonna undermine what we worked so hard for.
You said you didn't say erase.
Why are we so bothered by the fact
physical pain?
I'm bringing that
I
to the
said
fore.
erase women's effort that we worked so hard for, and that's exactly what it's
I
doing.
know,
And
but
I
I'm
told
just
you
saying you
how it's
told me
doing
that you
that.
didn't say erase, and then you said
Miss-
You said you said erasing women, not women. Or
Guys.
You all know that it physically.
I was talking about
more
effort.
painful to be a woman than it is to be a man.
Miss
Y'all realize that?
Miss Piggy, the first step to respecting women, right, which you're talking about so much, would be to start referring to yourself as a trans woman and not a woman. That's number one step. Start there, and then you can do the rest after. But the first step is calling yourself a trans woman and not taking away the word woman from biological females. That's number one step. If you can't respect the first step, you don't care about any of the other stuff. And you're not going to fool anybody in here. I heard you refer to yourself as we women. I'm a woman. You're not a biological woman. Start respecting women instead of being a misogynistic man. That's first step to gain some what's the word? To gain some respect, to gain some acceptance from people.
It's entitlement. It's the trans community feels like they're very entitled.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And this is why you have to
Very entitled.
I would like to say
something.
about actual
As a transsexual woman, I would like to say
I don't
this, okay?
understand that part quite. What you're saying.
Okay, well, here, let me put it in this perspective. As a transsexual woman, I put myself in other people's positions, right? I feel uncomfortable going to the men's bathroom, right? If I go into the men's bathroom, I feel uncomfortable, right? So imagine the women that go into their own space and they feel uncomfortable. I put myself in their position. Well, that's like me going into the men's restroom. I would feel uncomfortable. If they say, hey, I don't want you in here, right? I would respectfully say, okay, is it okay since I don't feel comfortable using the men's bathroom? Can I wait till you leave and then enter the premises and go to the bathroom? I have a son.
because it's our
I have a
space.
son.
We should
I know
not
what
be
it
the
feels
ones-
like. I have a son. I know what it feels like to be uncomfortable. I've walked into the women's restroom and seen other trans people in there and felt uncomfortable with my son being in there because my son is very little, right? He goes to the bathroom with me because I'm not going to send him into the men's restroom by himself. It's just not going to happen. So if that happens, right, have respect. Put yourself in their position. You are entering their domain as a transsexual
Literally,
woman.
our
I'm not
space.
going to sit here and be like, oh, well, we're going to have to share the space and that's it. No, put yourself in their perspective. If you went into the men's restroom, you want to cry boo-hoo. I feel uncomfortable. I don't want to go in there. I'm afraid this is going to happen to me. They feel the same exact way. Say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Is it okay if I use the restroom after you leave? Period. That's all it needs to be done.
W.
Just common respect for our space.
I can respect that. I can respect that, Lexi.
Yes, because I understand you want to protect your grandbabies. Fuck, it's crazy. I will not send my son to the men's restroom by himself. It won't happen, right? I understand what you're saying.
Right now, I've already agreed with Miss Met was talking about how we both, if Miss Met, if you remember, we both agreed that children shouldn't be going to bathrooms by themselves. So I don't know.
I'm just saying for her uncomfortability.
But if Miss Piggy, if they happen to go to the restroom by themselves, which some parents are reckless enough to do that, they should feel safe in the restroom and feel comfortable going in a restroom without.
I just don't.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I don't understand this entitlement of the trans community. It's so
very, very entitlement.
Horrible. You literally are. It's such toxic masculine energy, and it's making the rest of us look bad that just want to live our lives in society and respect other people. And it's just like, I cannot believe that, like, this is still the outlook of the trans community. Like, oh, this is how you're going to take it. Like, toxic
And
men.
biological women are asked, why do you care? Why do you care? Because this is the space that we have. This is our only space to feel safe. You can't just intrude in that and expect us not to have a reaction.
Yes. And
Okay,
you
well, I never said, why do you care to anybody? I've come up here and I've been respectful. I talked to Miss Met. We agreed on plenty of things. I was trying to talk to you, Z, before I was interrupted so I could try to understand what you were saying by when we talked about erasure of the things women had worked so hard for. But then people started, I listened to you too, and I said, yeah, we agreed on some things. So I don't understand why you guys are coming up here acting like I want to erase everything, why I don't agree with everything.
Because the word woman needs to operate to specify female human beings, right? Not a gender identity. You're trying to define women now as a gender identity, which is the exact thing that they've kind of been pushing against, that being defined literally as a role, as, you know, people who quote unquote like do whatever, the dishes, you know what I'm saying? Like, women do not want to be defined. No one wants to be defined as a role, right?
Yeah, of course. I agree with that.
Okay, good. So you should stop trying to you're validating the idea that woman refers to a role rather than a
No,
female.
I'm not. I
Yes, you
don't
are.
agree with that at all. I'm
then
for equity and equality.
Does
So I don't
woman
know why
refer
you're
to
about that.
a female human being? Yes or no?
Okay, but where do
There it
lesbians
is. There it is. Like, no, there it is.
Where do lesbians fit in that?
Basic thing
Where do
ever.
lesbians fit in?
And Elena, you know my lives. I don't take you down, Elena. That's not
Wait a minute.
true.
What do you mean?
You know
Where
I
do
have one of the
lesbians
most fair lives of anybody, and I let ops and friendlies come up, Elena.
What about lesbians in the bathroom? What about lesbians using the women's bathroom? How do you
about
feel about that?
Lesbians are still female human beings.
They're
Wait,
female.
wait.
Lesbians are still female. Like, what's the...
Women can look like men. Gay women can look just like men. So what kind of fear mongering do you
Wait,
have?
I've never seen a lesbian look like a man before. I can tell every lesbian I've ever encountered in my life has never looked like a biological man.
Smart guy with zero facts. Okay.
Carrie, okay, so wait, Carrie. You're the emotional lesbian that came up here to try to prove a point, but is failing miserably.
Is there really a point to saying the emotional lesbian?
I already wait, Carrie. You came for me in the comments.
And we have a man up here saying that
Miss
she's
Piggy,
emotional.
wait, Miss Piggy. Carrie came for me in the Carrie came for me in the comments about her being a lesbian and her entitlement in a restroom. So I'm going to tell her, statistically speaking, we worry much less about biological women in restrooms that they are biologically allowed to be in, right, than men being. I'll say it again. Men lead in most violent crimes, right? Men lead in most sexual crimes against people. Okay, all of the statistics point to men as being an issue, right, in spaces that do not biologically belong to them, right?
And
Carrie, why is that so hard for you to understand?
More facts, Timmy. You
Wait,
keep stating that
show me any.
people are
Okay,
attacking women in bathrooms. Please bring up all of the.
are you literally straw manning? Like, you're literally doing a straw man fallacy by literally saying you. When did I ever say that? When did I ever say that? You are creating an argument I never even mentioned.
You are lying because
Carrie
you are
isn't
not
understanding.
presenting any facts about the
Are you triggered a little bit?
I'm.
Calm down, calm yourself down a little bit. Calm down. Okay.
Can we cycle her out?
We recognize your male hate.
Okay, where's Christie? Christie, post the link.
Yeah.
You go to the ladies' bathroom.